If you're listening to this, there's a good chance you're standing in a place that drains you. Maybe it's a workplace where gossip is currency and blame travels faster than truth. Maybe it's a relationship where your boundaries are treated as suggestions. Maybe it's a family system that confuses love with control. Whatever shape it takes, you know the symptoms. You shrink a little when you walk in. Your body tenses before the day even begins. And by nightfall, you're exhausted without ever having run. You wonder, quietly, is it me? Am I the problem? And beneath that question is a deeper one. How do I keep my soul intact in a place that keeps trying to take it? Stoicism doesn't promise you a different world. It offers you a different way of being in this one. The Stoics never said life would be gentle. They said you could become strong. Not hard and bitter, strong and supple. Not indifferent, deeply caring, but caring sustainably. They taught that our power lives where our choices live, in our attention, our judgments, our speech, our actions. They believed that even in difficult environments, we can practice wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. And those four so simple, so demanding, can turn a toxic place into a training ground. Before we begin, a word of care. Some situations are not merely toxic, they are dangerous. If you are in harm's way, thriving begins with safety. Talk to someone you trust, find support, and plan your exit. Stoicism isn't a philosophy of tolerance for abuse. It is a philosophy of freedom. If you must leave, leave. If you must stay for a season, let's learn how to stay without losing yourself. So, take a breath with me. Inhale through the nose. Slow and honest. Exhale through the mouth, longer than your inhale. Roll your shoulders down and back. Feel your feet on the ground. You're here. You're not powerless. And for the next hour, imagine we're walking together, teacher and student. But more than that, fellow travelers through a set of practices the Stoics left us. Not to become invulnerable, but to become unshakably whole. Part 1. Naming the weather, choosing the climate. Toxicity is a fog word. It sounds precise, but it covers many different climates: manipulation, chronic negativity, silent punishments, moving goalposts, performative kindness that turns to punishment. When you don't comply, the first Stoic move is to separate the weather from your climate. The weather is what swirls around you: other people's moods, policies you didn't write, histories you didn't choose. Your climate is the stable interior you cultivate: your beliefs, your habits, your standards of conduct. You can't stop the rain, but you can keep a well-built house. How do you name the weather? You look at patterns, not just moments. Does the person apologize only to reset the cycle? Do meetings reward the loudest voices and punish dissent? Does your effort only matter when it's convenient for others? Are successes claimed publicly while your labor remains invisible? Describe the behavior without judgmental adjectives. When I propose ideas, they are dismissed. When someone else repeats them, they're praised. This is seeing, not spinning. And once you see clearly, you stop negotiating with your eyesight. But naming isn't enough. Naming can turn into rumination if it doesn't lead to choice. Here's a question the Stoics loved. What's up to you? Not in a vague motivational sense, but in the most practical way. What are you thinking? What are you rehearsing in your head? What words do you place in your mouth? What behaviors do you repeat? The discipline of perception clears the fog. The discipline of action sets the course. Once you distinguish weather from climate, you're ready to build inside, and then to influence outside. There's a quiet dignity that comes with this shift. You stop begging storms to be sunny. You stop bargaining with the tides. You become a better navigator. And an interesting thing happens when your climate steadies. Sometimes the weather calms, sometimes it goes wild. Either way, you no longer live at its mercy. Part 2. The dichotomy of control and the art of inner leverage. The Stoics taught a simple map. Some things are in your control, some are not. If you put your energy where it matters, you gain leverage. If you misuse it, you become a leaf in the wind. In corrosive environments, the temptation is to fix other people first. If only they would change, I could breathe. But trying to engineer someone else's character is like trying to teach the ocean manners. You can spend your life scolding the waves, or you can learn to steer. So what is truly yours? Your judgments, the stories you tell about what's happening. Your attention what you feed with your focus. Your decisions the sentences you speak. The boundaries you set. The effort you bring to your craft. Your attitude whether you choose resentment or responsibility. Notice that outcomes are not on this list. Results are influenced by you, but not owned by you. You own your inputs. The universe owns the outputs. That's not resignation. It's the only path to sane persistence. Let's make this practical. Imagine an office where sarcasm is the water supply. You can't ban sarcasm from the world, but you can refuse to pass the cup. You can set a tone in each conversation you touch, clean, direct, kind. You can maintain a calm face when the room heats up, not to prove superiority, but to keep the temperature from swallowing you. You can ask clarifying questions instead of sparring with innuendo. You can write the email you want to see quoted in a future meeting. None of this requires permission. All of it reshapes the climate inside you, and sometimes quietly, gradually it reshapes the climate around you. The Stoics also spoke of a third category, things partly in our control. Your reputation sits here, as does your influence. You can plant seeds, show your work, and build trust over time. You cannot force trust to ripen overnight, so you do what gardeners do. You tend what you can. You accept the season. You prune what doesn't bear fruit. You let patience be an action, not a feeling. Here's the paradox: when you stop grasping at what you cannot command, you become astonishingly effective with what you can. You notice small levers others ignore, your morning ritual, your breathing before difficult conversations, the way you label your experience, the one phrase you use when people try to pull you into a fight. Help me understand. These are not small, they are sovereign. Part 3. Emotional alchemy, turning reaction into response. A toxic environment thrives on unexamined reactions. It feeds on your rush to defend, to explain, to fix, to retaliate. The Stoic crafts response, not reaction. This is not suppression. It's skillful use of power. Emotions are data, not dictators. They tell you something happened that matters. They don't have to tell you what to do next. Here's a practice, simple enough to use in a meeting, potent enough to change a life. Stop, breathe, widen, choose. Stop, insert a comma between stimulus and reply. Breathe, lengthen your exhale, and lower your heart rate. Widen, mentally step back as if you were a camera on a track moving away, giving you a wider frame, the room, the day, the month, the arc of your career, even the arc of your life. Choose, ask, what action aligns with my virtues? Then do that, even if it's small, especially if it's small. Another practice, name the emotion without the story. I feel dismissed. I feel anxious. I feel anger. You speak it quietly, even just to yourself. When you name an emotion, your brain shifts from amygdala flare to prefrontal handling. If you cannot name it, draw a tightness in the chest, heat in the face, spinning thoughts. Ask your body, where is it? Then soften that place. This is philosophy embodied. The Stoics knew that to master the mind, you must also care for the body. A relaxed jaw can be a moral achievement in a hostile room. Then there's the view from above. Picture yourself rising in your mind, first to the ceiling, then the roof, then the neighborhood, the city, the country, the curve of the planet. Watch the little cluster of people wherever you are. Watch them grow smaller. Hear your heartbeat slow. From up here, you remember scale. The email isn't eternal. The glare isn't destiny. This isn't your whole story. When you return to the scene has changed because you have. What about anger? Anger sometimes feels like the only honest energy in a broken place. Stoicism doesn't tell you never to feel it. It asks what you want it to accomplish. Raw anger is a match. It lights fast and burns out. Righteous action is a lantern. It stays lit because it's fueled by clarity. Use anger's heat to identify a boundary. Use wisdom to enforce it. Speak with posture, not volume. Practice saying hard things with a soft face. That's not awakeness, that's mastery. Part 4. Boundaries, standards, and the courage to be consequential. The word boundary is often misheard as a wall. In Stoic practice, a boundary is an agreement with yourself about what you will do, not a demand that others behave. You cannot require respect, but you can behave in a self-respecting way. You cannot make someone speak the truth. but you can commit to the truth in your speech. You cannot force fairness, but you can hold yourself to justice. Boundaries are promises to your character. Create them behaviorally, not just verbally. If a colleague derails your work with last-minute urgent requests that predictably weren't urgent yesterday, your boundary might sound like this: "I'd be glad to help next time," with a day's notice. "Today I'm at capacity." If you get punishment disguised as silence, keep your tone neutral. Repeat the boundary as often as needed. A boundary is a sentence you can live with, whether or not it is applauded. Standards are boundaries quiet. Cousins, they're the lines you draw in your work. How clean is your code? How accurate is your report? How prepared are you for the room? Toxic environments often breed cynical craftsmanship people. Do the minimum because the place feels unworthy of excellence. Don't hand your standards to the climate. You set them because you respect yourself. Your standards turn the day into an arena where you can win, regardless of the scoreboard others invented. Of course, boundaries cost. If there were no cost, you would have set them already. You might be labeled difficult. You might lose the favor of small tyrants. You might be noticed for the first time by those who only notice when something resists. The Stoic answer is not bravado, it's preparation. Decide your consequences ahead of time. If you refuse gossip, will you be excluded from the inner circle? Perhaps, but that circle wasn't inner. It was just loud. If you write truth to power, might power respond? Perhaps, but the part of you that needs their approval is the part that's tired of begging. Better to be consequential than compliant. There's also the boundary no one can see, where you place your identity. If your identity is hostage to one boss, one team, one role, then every tremor feels like an earthquake. Expand your roots. You are more than your title. You are a student of life, a friend, a craftsperson, a citizen, a person of conscience. Plant your identity in virtues that cannot be fired. Then you carry your worth with you, and your courage becomes portable. Part 5. Daily rituals for an untoxic life even when the place isn't. The environment outside may not change today. Your rituals can change by morning. Stoicism is a practice, not a pose. The day belongs to those who structure it. Begin before the world wakes. Not every day, not out of punishment, but often enough to remind yourself that your time belongs to you. Sit with a notebook. Ask 3 questions. What kind of person do I want to be today? Where are the predictable tests, and how will I meet them? What small act of justice, courage, wisdom, or temperance will I attempt regardless of applause? Write brief answers. Visualize the challenges arriving like scenes in a film, and see yourself responding as planned. The Stoics called this rehearsing adversity, premeditatio malorum. You don't invite disaster, you inoculate against surprise during the day. Use micro-rituals. When you enter a meeting, touch your fingertips together once and recall your virtues. When you feel your face heat, drop your shoulders and lengthen your exhale. When you're pulled into cynicism, silently ask, "What is the task at my feet?" and do that task well. Keep a phrase in your pocket to replace complaint. Something like, "Let's get specific," or "Help me understand the desired outcome," or "What problem are we solving?" Simple phrases make it harder for toxicity to stay vague. After the day, hold a quiet review. Not a trial, a review. Where did I act according to my values? Where did I sell myself short? What one thing will I do to percent better tomorrow? To percent is humble. To percent compounds. You will be tempted to write paragraphs. Don't. This is less about writing and more about learning. If you failed, write it down. Forgive yourself. Design a small guardrail and go to sleep as a friend to yourself. Feed your attention with ogged food. Toxic environments tend to colonize your interior long after you leave the building. To reclaim your mind, choose what enters it. Read a paragraph of something sturdy, a page from a timeless book, a line of poetry that tells the truth without decoration. Call someone who loves you enough to tell you when you're drifting. Walk. Move your body as if it's worth caring for, because it is. Eat in a way that brings you back to yourself. These are not luxury habits. They are strategic ones. If the air is polluted, your filters must be strong. Part 6. Clean communication in messy rooms. Toxic environments are noisy. Try a different frequency. The Stoic voice is clear, brief, and kind, not flattering, not sharp, clean. When you make a request, make it measurable and time-bound. Could you review the draft by Thursday at noon and leave comments directly in the doc? Loose language invites loose behavior. When you deliver feedback, anchor it in observable behavior and impact. In yesterday's call, when my suggestion was labeled naive, I shut down for the rest of the meeting and we lost time. Next time, can we critique ideas without character labels? This isn't a performance, it's a service. You're teaching the room how to work with you at a higher level. When someone tries to drag you into a sideways conversation, triangles, whispers, resentment disguised as camaraderie, step out gently. I like to keep my conversations direct. If there's an issue, I'm happy to sit down with both of you. You'll be tested here. People addicted to triangles need angles to hit their targets. Offer circles instead. If they insist on arrows, let them pass by. Your refusal to host. The whisper becomes part of your reputation. At first, some will resent it. Eventually, many will trust it. When you must say no, say it like a guardrail, not like a hammer. No, I can't take that on this week. Here's what I can deliver by Friday. If pressed, repeat. Do not explain your personal life. Do not apologize for not being available to others' last-minute plans. Apologize if you break your word. Not for having a word. You're returning your yes. It's dignity. When a conflict matters, slow down. Invite clarity. Ask for the shared objective. What outcome would look like success for you? Name your own. Here's success for me. Where they overlap, anchor there. Where they differ, negotiate like adults, not like rival children. Replace blame with curiosity. Replace mind reading with questions. Replace ultimatums with options. And if the other party chooses to stay in the sandbox, you can still choose the office. Not everyone will meet you here. Some will escalate when you de-escalate. Because drama is their oxygen. That's fine. Breathe your own. Keep your voice steady. If you must, take a break. If the conversation repeats the same unhelpful loop, document your proposal in writing and send it. Paper can be braver than a room. Part 7. Turning the obstacle into a dojo. Excellence as defiance. It's tempting to become minimalist in hostile places. Do the least to survive. Wait out the clock. Hoard your energy like a fragile resource. Sometimes that's prudent, especially in short seasons. But there's another path. Treat the environment as a dojo. In a dojo, the mat is where resistance lives. You go there to train. Decide that this season will make you excellent at a handful of things you can carry anywhere. Become uncommonly good at calm. Become precise with words. Become reliable when you say you will, you do. Become a helper of the quiet and a disturber of the unkind. Master your craft in visible, auditable ways. Clean commits, clear documentation, deliverables that tell their own story. If you're in sales, be the one who prepares enough to ask the right 3 questions. If you're in service, be the one who hears what wasn't said and solves the real problem. If you're building, build in a way you wouldn't be ashamed to show your future self. Excellence isn't obedience, it's a declaration. You're saying, you don't set my standard, I do. This frees you from the swamp of comparison. You no longer need to win the inner politics to win your day. Your scoreboard is internal and honest, and paradoxically, this tends to make you visible in a better way. Real excellence has a quiet signal others recognize. Leaders who are tired of noise notice it. Peers who care about the work find it, and the next opportunity measures it. But take care, excellence without temperance becomes martyrdom. If you offer endless competence to those who exploit it, you teach them to keep exploiting. Pair excellence with boundaries. Deliver what you promise. Don't promise everything. Be generous. Don't be convenient. When people learn that you're reliable, but not pliable, the right ones will respect you more, and the wrong ones will look elsewhere for softer ground. Both results are gifts. There's also joy here, yes, joy, even in tired places. There are moments of craft that belong only to you. The line of code that finally dances. The paragraph that lands clean. The patient well served. The student who understands. The customer who relaxes. The team member who realizes someone is quietly on their side. These are unstealable joys. Collect them. Let them pay your spirit. Let them remind you that though the place may be bitter, you can still taste. Sweetness. Part 8. Allies, mentors, and the inner Senate. Toxicity isolates. It wants you to believe you're the only sane one or the only foolish one. Either lie will do, as long as you're alone. Break the spell, find or form a small circle committed to truth, not to gossip. It might be to colleagues who value clean work. It might be a friend outside the organization who helps you see your blind spots. It might be a mentor who tells you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Don't look for rescuers, look for witnesses and coaches. Share your intentions with them. I'm practicing directness. Hold me to it. I'm letting go of chasing approval. Ask me weekly how I did. Invite real feedback. When they give it, breathe and receive. If they point out where you contributed to the dysfunction, don't melt, thank them. Adjust. This humility isn't humiliation, it's power. It turns the world into a classroom again. And then there is the counsel you carry inside. The Stoics sometimes practiced imagining a sage watching them, not to shame them, but to guide them. Assemble your inner Senate. Choose a handful of voices that represent the person you wanted to be. A grandparent who lived with quiet integrity. A teacher who demanded your best. A writer whose sentences wake you up. A leader you saw treat people well even when no one was. Applauding. When you face a test, ask them in your mind, one by one, what would you counsel? Listen. Their answers will often be simple. Be honest. Be brave. Be patient. Be kind without becoming weak. Be firm without becoming cruel. Then act as if they'll read your day's transcript. Aim to make them nod. Your future self deserves a seat. 2. Picture them a few years out, not idealized. Just a little older, a little clearer. Ask what they thank you for. The answer is, rarely for winning every argument or for pleasing every petty person. It's more like for keeping your word, for leaving when it was time, for learning what you needed to learn, for being gentle with your own heart while you grew strong. Part 9. The quiet courage to leave and how to do it well. Thriving doesn't always mean staying. Sometimes the most stoic act is to walk away, not from difficulty, but from degradation. This isn't quitting in defeat, it's choosing a healthier battlefield. The question is not, am I allowed to leave? But what story will my leaving tell about my values? If you sense that the environment cannot be made better by your honest effort, that your boundaries are consistently violated, that your growth is being traded for someone else's convenience, it might be time. Begin with clarity. Define the criteria that would justify staying. Real changes, not fantasies. Give them a horizon. If those criteria aren't met, prepare with dignity. Preparation is practical and moral. Practical, build a runway. Clean your finances, update your portfolio, and list your transferable skills in specific terms. Quietly cultivate options. Learn. Talk to people doing work that energizes you, not just work that pays you. Moral. Keep your standards until the last day. Do not sabotage as you exit. Do not torch the field. Document what only you know. Make it easier for the next person even if the place didn't make it easy for you. This is not for them, it's for you. You. Leave as the person you promised yourself you would be. Tell the truth in your exit conversations without performative heat. Here is the behavior I experienced. Here is the impact. Here is what would have needed to change for me to thrive here. Leave the judgments to those who need them. Leave the door open just enough for grace, but not so open that you wander back out of habit. When you walk away, don't drag chains. Take lessons, not bitterness. Bitterness is a souvenir that poisons the next room. And when you arrive somewhere new, don't carry the old weather with you. Notice where you flinch at shadows. Notice where you assume patterns will repeat. Give people a chance to be who they are, not who the last crowd was. Keep your rituals. Keep your voice. Keep your standards. You're not escaping. You're advancing. Toxic environments trick us into forgetting that we have a helm. They push storms so close to our eyes that all we see are waves. But there is always a wheel, and it's always within reach. Your attention, your judgments, your speech, your actions. You may not get to choose the sea, but you do choose how you sail. And choice, repeated with care, becomes character. Character, lived out with patience, becomes destiny. If you stay where you are for a time, let it be a dojo. Let it make you. Clear, not cold. Tender, not timid. Firm, not harsh. Bring boundaries that are promises to your best self. Speak in a voice that is both true and humane. Set standards that answer to your conscience, not to the nearest critic. Practice the little rituals that return you to yourself, a breath, a phrase, a question, a line in a journal. Notice every unstealable joy, and let them pay the day's cost. If you must leave, leave like a captain, not a castaway. Prepare, act cleanly, honor the work even as you refuse the sickness. Carry forward the virtues you trained into your bones. Somewhere, someone is building a room that needs exactly the kind of presence you've worked so hard to become. And wherever you go today, tomorrow, the day after, carry the view from above in your pocket. When the noise swells, step back in your mind and look at the city, the country, the blue arc of the world. See yourself small, but not insignificant. A person among people, practicing a beautiful craft, the craft of choosing well in a world that doesn't always make it easy. You don't need the world to be gentle to be good. You don't need every room to be fair to yourself. You don't need approval to be honorable. Take one more breath, in through the nose, out through the mouth, longer than the inhale. Feel your shoulders drop. Remember who you are when no one else is naming you. That person quiet, steady, principled is enough to change the climate wherever you stand. You won't control the weather, you'll do something better. You'll bring a climate that the weather cannot crush, and that is how you thrive. Not by pretending the poison isn't poison, not by matching it dose for dose, but by becoming the antidote day after day, choice after choice, in the only place where your power lives, right here, at the helm of your own life.